There are seasons in life when silence surrounds us so tightly it feels like a wall. Prayers echo back as if unanswered, and every effort seems to vanish into stillness. In these moments, the heart begins to wonder if it has been forgotten, if the trials are signs of divine distance rather than divine design. But what if this silence, this waiting, is not abandonment, but preparation? What if the very stillness that seems so empty is the sacred forge where God is shaping something far greater than we can yet see? We often look for signs in the storm, expecting God to move in grand and visible ways, overlooking the quiet, unseen work He performs in the hidden places of our soul. Yet the greatest breakthroughs are never birthed in comfort. They rise from seasons of pressing, of pruning, of being refined when no one else is watching. When your world seems to slow, when progress halts and purpose grows dim, it is not evidence of failure, it is evidence of formation. For before the light breaks through the clouds, the earth must first be prepared to receive it. In the silence, God is speaking. In the stillness, He is sculpting. He sees beyond your current limits into the horizon of the destiny He's planned. What feels like delay is often a divine pause, not to harm, but to strengthen. Not to deny you, but to deepen you. He is preparing you for a breakthrough that will not merely change your circumstances, but your very being. He is crafting within you a resilience that cannot be shaken, a wisdom forged in the fire, a faith that will not faint when the winds rise. This is not a time of abandonment. This is the training ground of glory. You are being prepared to carry the weight of what you have prayed for. To step into a major breakthrough without the strength to sustain it is not a blessing, it is a burden. And so in mercy, God waits. He refines, He prepares. Every trial, every delay, every hidden day is a seed planted in trust, and in due time the harvest will come. You are not being overlooked. You are being positioned. Lift your eyes, not in demand for immediate answers, but in trust that the one who holds your future is doing far more than you can perceive. He is aligning heaven's resources, preparing doors you have not yet seen, building foundations beneath your feet that will not crumble when the weight of blessing arrives. This season of preparation is sacred. Treat it as holy, embrace it as necessary. For when the breakthrough comes, and it will, you will not only walk through it changed, you will recognize it for what it truly is, the revelation of what God has been doing all along. There are seasons in the soul that feel like wandering through a vast, uncharted wilderness, days when the sun seems hidden behind perpetual clouds, and even the sound of your own prayers feels as if it is swallowed by the wind. It is in these moments when all around appears still and uneventful that a quiet question rises in the heart: has God forgotten me? The silence presses in like fog, thick and lingering, and the absence of visible movement can feel like spiritual abandonment. But it is in these hidden seasons more than any other that God is doing His most profound work. You see, the work of heaven is often cloaked in secrecy. The divine is not bound by our demand for immediacy or our craving for spectacle. We want to see fireworks, signs, wonders, and flashes of sudden change. But God is an artist, not a showman. He shapes souls in the quiet corners of time. His tools are patience, His chisel is delay, and His canvas is often the unseen places of the heart. When life seems still, when doors remain closed, and your efforts seem to vanish into thin air, it is not that God is inactive. It is that His hand is beneath the surface, preparing something that can only be revealed when the time is ripe. Consider the seed buried in soil. It must endure darkness before it ever sees light. So God, in His mercy, sends us through trials, not to punish, but to purify. He teaches us to let go of what we once clung to release the illusions of control, to find joy not in having, but in trusting. And slowly, in the fire, we begin to see that what is being burned away was never meant to remain. There is a strange kind of grace in suffering, not the kind that the world can measure, but a grace that burrows deep and makes its home in the soul. In the fire, we become honest. The masks fall away. The shallow answers no longer satisfy. We wrestle with questions we once avoided, and we find that God is not afraid of them. He is there in the wrestling, in the tears, in the long nights of the soul. He is not repelled by our doubt, nor does He retreat when we cry out in pain. No, He draws near us still, not always to give answers, but to give Himself, and in time the fire begins to shape us. It strips away the unnecessary. It tempers us with patience. It awakens compassion for those who have suffered deeply, become the greatest comforters of others. It teaches us wisdom, not as theory, but as scars turned sacred, and it instills in us a kind of perseverance that does not bend in the storm. These are the gifts of the fire, not comfort, not ease, but strength, not avoidance of pain, but purpose within it. Those who emerge from the fire do not emerge the same. They are marked, not with bitterness, but with quiet authority. They walk with a steady step, not because the journey has been easy, but because they have learned who walks beside them. They speak with a clarity forged in struggle. They know the value of peace because they have tasted chaos, and they carry within them something unshakable, something eternal. This is the soul God can entrust with breakthrough. When the trial ends, and it will end, you will not only be changed, you will be ready to carry what you once prayed for without being crushed by it, ready to receive without forgetting the giver, ready to lead others not from theory, but from experience. The fire is not the end, it is the beginning of transformation. What is being burned away is not your future, but your fear. Not your destiny, but your doubt. And what remains when the smoke clears will be purer, stronger, and more radiant than ever before. So do not run from the fire. Do not despise it. See it for what it is, the loving preparation of a God who refuses to leave you unready for the greatness to come. If he is allowing you to walk through the flames, it is only because he sees the gold that lies beneath, and he knows, he knows, that your breakthrough will be far more than a change of circumstance. It will be the unveiling of the soul he has been refining all along. There is a kind of strength that cannot be learned in peace. It must be forged beneath a darkened sky, where the winds howl and the rain falls without promise of clear skies. We often long for God to bring breakthrough, forgetting that such a gift must rest upon a foundation that can bear its weight. The storm, though terrifying, is not the thief of promise. It is the tutor of strength. God allows the winds to rise so that you may learn to stand, not in your own power, but in his. Faith is not truly faith until it is tested. A belief that only survives in sunshine is a shallow root indeed. But the faith that holds firm when everything else is shaking, that is the faith which breaks the chains of fear. That is the faith which prepares you to receive the very breakthrough you have long prayed for. And so, God allows the storms, not to destroy, but to build, not to drown, but to anchor. There is something divine in the way God builds strength in secret. He is never rushed. He allows us to walk into storms, not because he delights in our struggle, but because he knows the storm will awaken something within us that ease never could. The storm forces us to reach deeper, to cling to his promises with trembling hands, to discover that what we thought was the end is only the beginning of his intervention. And here is the truth we must all come to accept. Before the breakthrough comes, the heart must be made strong, not hardened and not bitter, but unshakably grounded in truth. It is in the storm that we learn to listen to the still, small voice. It is there, amid chaos, that we train our spiritual eyes to see the hand of God when all seems lost. And it is in that holy struggle that we begin to realize we are not alone. God is not waiting on the other side of the storm. He is in it with you. He walks upon the waves. He whispers peace not after the winds die down, but while they rage. He places his strength into your weakness, his courage into your fear, his steadfastness into your trembling frame. And as you lean into him, something remarkable begins to happen, not outside of you, but within. You begin to rise. Faith grows like muscle. It must be strained and sometimes torn before it becomes strong. God knows this. He allows the pressure because he knows the promise. He permits the breaking so that he might rebuild you stronger. He does not shield you from every trial because he is preparing you to walk through greater doors. Breakthroughs are not random. They are entrusted. And he will not entrust them to a soul that has not been trained to trust. So take heart in the storm. Do not be deceived into thinking your strength is failing simply because you feel weak. The truth is, strength is being built even now. Each prayer whispered through clenched teeth, each tear shed in surrender, each act of faith taken in the dark, all of it matters. All of it is being seen. All of it is forming in you a strength that the storm cannot steal. And when the skies finally clear, and they will, you will step forward not as you were, but as you are always meant to be. You will carry a strength that is not rooted in pride, but in perseverance. A strength that does not boast, but quietly believes. A strength that says, I have walked with God in the storm, and I know his voice even in the thunder. This is the strength that precedes breakthrough. This is the preparation of the soul that has learned to trust when nothing made sense, to stand when all seemed lost, to hope when the night grew long. This strength is not loud or showy, it is steady, it is sure, and it is the very thing that makes you ready to step into what God has long been preparing. There comes a moment when the heavens break open, not in violence, but in revelation. It is not that God suddenly begins to move, he has been moving all along, but that our eyes are finally opened to what he was orchestrating behind the veil. The appointed time does not crash in like a storm. It unfolds with quiet majesty, like a curtain being drawn back to reveal a masterpiece long in the making. And in that moment, the waiting ceases to be a wound. It becomes a wonder. You may not even recognize the beginning of your breakthrough. It will come disguised in ordinary moments. A conversation, a door that opens, a gentle nudge to move in a direction you hadn't planned. But within those moments lies the fingerprint of God. You are not stepping into something new, you are stepping into what has been waiting for you all along, prepared by divine hands, reserved for a heart that has been shaped to carry it well. There is a sacred weight to the fulfillment of promise. It humbles you, it silences the ego, because you know what it costs. You know the nights you wrestled with doubt, the prayers whispered with trembling lips, the surrender that stripped you bare. And when you arrive at the breakthrough, it does not inflate you, it grounds you. For you understand this moment is not your reward, it is your responsibility, and you have been made ready for it. The path to this moment has not been straight, it has wound through valleys and deserts. It has required you to let go of what you thought you needed, to forgive what wounded you, to love when it was easier to close your heart. And all of this was not a detour, it was the design. God did not waste a single step, he used it all, even the parts you thought were meaningless. Info. Even the pain you thought would break you. All of it now is woven into the tapestry of your calling. When the appointed time arrives, you must step into it with both courage and reverence. Not rushing, not shrinking, but walking with the quiet assurance of one who knows who has brought them here. The time for striving is over. The time for surrender has borne fruit. Now is the time to walk boldly into what you are made for. Do not be surprised if your breakthrough blesses others more than it blesses you. That is the way of the kingdom. God prepares you not for your sake alone, but for those he has called you to impact. Your breakthrough will carry a ripple effect. It will set others free. It will awaken hope where hope was dying. And you, the one who walked through fire, will now become the torchbearer for those still wandering in the dark. But never forget, this moment is not the end. It is the beginning of something even greater. For every promise fulfilled is not a finish line, but an altar. A place to kneel and give thanks. A place to remember that the journey with all its trials was worth it. And a place from which to rise, carrying the mantle God has placed upon you with humility, with strength, and with joy. There is something profoundly beautiful in looking back and realizing that what once seemed like delay was divine design all along. Every tear shed in silence, every day spent wondering if God was near, every trial that shook you to your core, none of it was wasted. They were the gentle, unrelenting hands of a father preparing his child for something far greater than comfort, calling. Now you stand on the edge of something holy, not because the world around you has suddenly changed, but because you have. You are no longer the one who asked, "When, Lord?" but the one who can say with confidence, "He was preparing me." You have come to understand that breakthrough is not a single event. It is a journey of becoming, a transformation of soul, a deepening of trust, and a revelation that God has never been late. He has only been wise. You are ready now, not because everything in your life is perfect, but because everything in your heart has been surrendered. You no longer strive for glory, but for grace. You no longer chase answers, but walk in trust. And that, dear soul, is what makes you ready to carry what God is now placing in your hands. But let this be your anchor as you move forward. The breakthrough is not the end of the story, it is the beginning of your ministry to others. For just as you were refined in silence, others now stand in silence waiting for their day to come. And your life, your scars, your story, your strength may be the very signpost they need to keep going. This is why God prepared you in such depth, because the blessing is not just for you. God, it is for the world around you. Go forward then, not with arrogance, but with awe. not with noise, but with the steady rhythm of a heart that knows its maker. You do not need to prove yourself. You need only to be faithful. The God who prepared you will sustain you. The God who formed you in the fire will guide you in the promise. And the God who brought you through the long night will be your joy in the morning light. This is your moment, not because of who you are, but because of what God has done in you. Step forward, speak with love, walk in humility, serve with joy, and never forget your breakthrough is not the prize, it is the platform. The real gift is not what you've received, it is who you've become in the hands of God.